Now, American politicians are likely to be summoned back from holiday this week to sort out an ongoing crisis in the country's cash-strapped postal service. That might sound like a little local issue, but it all centres around the upcoming election and the large number of postal ballots which are likely to be cast.
Record numbers are expected to vote by post this November due to fears of coronavirus in crowded polling stations. But the service is in real financial trouble, and President Trump said he'll block a new grant designed to keep it afloat. Today, his opponents accused him of undermining democracy.
But so obsessed are they to undermine absentee voting that this is their connection there. So the president says he's not putting up any money for absentee voting, and he's not putting up any money for the Postal Service, undermining the health of our democracy.
In the US, today marks the start of the Democratic National Convention, which would in other times have been a huge gathering of party bigwigs to confirm Joe Biden as their official candidate to take on Donald Trump in November. We'll hear from Mr. Trump's Republican Party shortly, but first, the BBC's Neda Tawfiq reports on the start of a very different-looking presidential campaign.
Tens of thousands of people should have been descending on Milwaukee to mark the start of the Democrats' general election campaign. Instead, the party will be holding an unconventional convention because of health concerns surrounding the pandemic. This is what it should look like, but the normally jam-packed arenas will be replaced by 2 hours of virtual programming each night. Over the 4 days, speakers will include party heavyweights such as the Obamas and Clintons, and a mix of moderates to progressive stars such as Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Heading into the convention, this pollster says the Biden-Harris ticket is in a good position, leading by a comfortable margin.
Conventions really don't play a large role in the election anyway, so it's not going to really matter. In fact, it just could help him further. What we've seen is him staying in place, staying in the shadows, letting President Trump, fall over his own rhetoric and his own handling of the pandemic and the protests and the economy. That has worked for Biden really well in the past couple months, and we see that in the polls.
His low-profile campaign, dubbed invisible by Republicans, has certainly helped him control his image, avoiding the rigors of the campaign trail and grabbing attention at key moments.
There's nothing ordinary about this election season. The typical issues that preoccupy campaigns have been overshadowed by the unprecedented challenges facing the economic and social well-being of Americans. And that means inevitably the incumbent, President Trump, will ultimately face more scrutiny than his challenger, Joe Biden. Neda Tawfiq, BBC News, New York.
And with us now to talk through what all of this means for the Trump campaign is Erol Morkoc, spokesperson for Republicans overseas in the UK, and he is in Michigan tonight. Erol, thanks very much for joining us. So with the Democratic National Convention getting underway today, I just wonder if I'll start by asking you what you make of the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. I mean, is that something that's rattling the Republicans?
Oh, it's not rattling the Republicans. It's a safe choice. When you consider that the enthusiasm for Joe Biden's candidacy is so low that not even he himself was planning to attend his own convention. When you get the addition of Kamala Harris, who was noted as the most liberal person in the Senate, who has a terrible history of making outrageous statements, linking police to the KKK, while at the same time being a top cop prosecutor who's put 1,500 people in jail for marijuana offenses while laughing about it. The Biden-Harris ticket was very smart. I give a lot of credit to my Democrat colleagues. It was designed to placate those hardcore progressives. However, and what they're failing to understand, sadly, is that it's not going to excite nor persuade those ordinary Americans in the middle political spectrums, places like the great state of Michigan that Biden will need to win in the White House. For 4 years now, we have a nearly reflexive opposition to President Trump's policies, born out of this fiery partisan, agenda to block his America First feelings. But when you look at Harris being added, she was opposed to USMCA while being in support of the New Deal. I don't think it's we're not scared.
Okay,
and more
you say you're not scared.
You
say you're not scared. How are you going to take them on? What is the Republican strategy going to be? Because so far, it hasn't been a very positive vision. We've heard Joe Biden being dubbed as Sleepy Joe. Kamala Harris has been called nasty and angry by the president. How is he going to take them on?
Well, he's going to have to get Joe Biden out of his basement to start. Kamala Harris, when she announced, he didn't really have much to say because that's going to be for Mike Pence to do. But we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. The American people, if they had seen these riots and this sort of violence going on right when the election, they would have won. But now they've overplayed their hand. Your decent Americans are looking and they're seeing this. So we're going to run the exact optics that they're giving us.
You say to get Joe Biden out of his basement, but his tactics so far seem to be working for him, don't they? I mean, he's ahead of the polls nationally and also in some of the battleground states.
I concede the polls, of course, and we can go back and forth about how polls are, but I think it's a brilliant strategy. It's a weekend at Bernie strategy. Joe Biden puts his foot in the mouth at every time, whether he tries to typecast the African-American community as a monolith or when he wants to make slightly racist comments about Indians owning 7-Elevens. When you keep him quiet, when you tell him what to do, when he's only had 2 press conferences, and even CNN has pointed it out. He's being hidden, and it's a good strategy. And if it wins, if they win the election, it's going to go down as a case study in political theory. But if they lose, which I believe they will, it's going to go down as one of the most comically embarrassing attempts.
Okay, Erol Morkoc, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Right, now let's bring things right back to home. And it's Scotland.